5 ways a narcissist discards is hard enough when a healthy relationship breaks down, and people can say things like it's not you, it's me, to try and protect the other person's feelings. When it comes to a narcissist, how they discard is to either hide someone from the truth or distort someone's reality, hide someone from the games they are playing to be able to swoop back in and manipulate that person again. So this video is how the narcissist discards and the ways it can make us feel. When it comes to a narcissist, the discard should really be called the disengagement, as it's often only ever temporary on their part. They'll usually come back round for the hoover or the re-idealisation stage, be it days, weeks, months or years later. Although it can take us several attempts to get out and stay out of this kind of relationship, as we live in the belief that the problems within the relationship were our fault. We live in the hope from their false promises that they will change. We do our best with the added help of their gaslighting to see the good in them and overlook the bad. The hope we can help them as we care for them. Often for us to just get hurt a little more each and every time until we begin to wake from the brain fog. Start to recognise what's been happening to us. We are the ones that make the final discard. Once we know why they do what they do, that we cannot help them, that they'll only ever bring us down, they'll only ever bring us pain, and that we deserve to be treated with respect, loyalty and honesty, that their mistakes are not mistakes, it's who they are. We make the choice to walk away and no longer play, even when it feels hard, even when it's not easy. When we begin to learn about the disorder and see just how many people have been through similar things, we often want the understanding and the clarity of what's happened to us. There can be so many enlightening and hurtful realizations as we go back to the beginning, slowly moving away from the narcissist reality that they've gaslighted us into believing. A part of us really wanted to believe it, and who wouldn't? They can put on that charm, they can mirror you, they can sell you your dreams, all while manipulatively hiding their true intentions. We only have our feelings to go on and our instincts to go on. With the reality we live in the beginning, with their gaslighting, with no evidence for what our instincts are trying to tell us, we want to believe in them. And the words that they say to us, the words they put in our minds, that reality we live, it is incredibly believable, even though it's not what's actually happening. Only once out do we start to put reality back in, do we see those moments our instincts tried to protect us. Yet we overruled them, as we wanted to believe in the fairy tale that they were so manipulatively selling to us. Only once out do we connect with others, do we see their somewhat predictable patterns of behaviour, how they will never learn from past mistakes to make the changes they need to create a more fulfilling life for themselves. Once we learn their patterns of behaviour, we become a lot wiser to their games. Even when we still have to be in contact with them because of children, we learn through no reaction from ourselves by observing their behaviour and not absorbing what they might try next. It's not easy getting out, but it is worth it. These are some of the ways they will discard us. Their discard is to fulfill a need of their own. You ending the relationship is for them to live their life while you go and live yours. And this is also some ways it might make you feel. So 5 manipulative discards. 1, the one that leaves you living in hope and leaves the door open for them to come back, leaving you feeling hurt and confused, questioning yourself and working harder to get them back, only to feel heartbroken and embarrassed when you realise while you were trying to work it out, they were with someone else that you happen to accidentally find out about, as the narcissist either hasn't fully got them under their spell and wanted to keep you around in case it didn't work, and while you were changing who you were in the hope they'll come back, they would have been saying things like, I need some space, I need some time, I don't know what I want at the moment. And it makes it seem like they genuinely care, but they need to work some things out. So it pulls on our sympathy, leaving us feeling confused, stopping us from moving on as we live in the hope. And it can make us feel stupid when we realise it's not that they didn't know what they wanted, it's that they didn't know who they wanted. They've deceived us, and while we were busy trying to fix the relationship, they were busy elsewhere without a care for us. This can cause the best of people to react and want answers, to feel the need for closure, then go trying to get those answers, reacting negatively towards the narcissist, trying to explain to the new what's happened without realising that we're playing straight into the narcissist's hands and their games, as they'll have already told the new just how crazy we are. They'll have already smeared our name, and they'll have our reactions to match. And they'll also have our messages to match about just how much we want them back. They only tell the new half the story, the version of the events that the narcissist wants them to believe, the story that the narcissist is manipulatively selling to them in their idolization stage. And even when their instincts are trying to warn them that it isn't right, the narcissist words... with the narcissist words, they will be gaslighting them into believing the narcissist. What we have to realise is we are understandably hurt, as we have been duped, we have been deceived by the very person who claimed to love and care for us. This can make us feel things like shame, guilt, anger, depression, fear, loss of trust in others, loss of trust in ourselves. It can be very lonely, it can be a very scary place to be, and these are all normal emotions. Narcissists are highly manipulative and they fool many. We don't know what we don't know. Once we know, we go. Often our brains like to try and run from the pain and try to convince us of things that are less painful. And we can still hope the narcissist might regret their choice and change, or at the very least see the error of their ways, see how much pain they've caused us, and apologise. Even if they promise to change, even if they offer that false apology, it's only because it's not working with the new. They don't change, they just hit repeat. We, however, can learn about ourselves and give ourselves the closure that we were pulled in by a con artist. We were duped by someone who we should not be with. Our closure is that part of our life is over and it's time to start again, wiser and stronger than we were before. Our closure is we can learn to listen to our instincts and what our emotions are telling us, even if we don't have evidence to actually see what's happening. So, number 2, another one where they play on your emotions, this time so they can gain the sympathy or get you to work harder to please them, to raise them up, to keep them happy and to shower them with attention, to make them feel special, to make them feel worthy. They might tell you things like, I'm not good enough for you, or I don't think this is working and I think you should end it. And this is as fake as anything else they do. And this is to get you into almost a state of shock and fear that the relationship is over. Once in that fear, your subconscious begins to form to their behaviour, walking on eggshells to please them. So you work harder in all that you do to keep them happy. This method leaves you blaming yourself, looking past their abusive behaviour, leaves you feeling upset and concerned. So they have the greater control. They have that dominance. This way, the narcissist within their own mind escapes accountability as you try to please them. Sometimes we mistake fighting for the one who loves us by fighting for someone to love us. If someone doesn't love us for who we are, if someone gives us the covert threats of if only you, or I don't think this is working, we have to be strong enough to let go of what love isn't. And it is difficult, it is painful, it is hard, but we have to be strong enough to let go of what love isn't to find what love is. Often the narcissist will have someone else waiting. We also have to let go of those we believe we love. If who we are isn't enough for them, as we will be enough for the right person, someone that has similar beliefs, someone that has the same loyalty, someone that has the same honesty as ourselves. 3, the one where they give you the false compliments, the one where they flatter you. Things like, you've been amazing towards me, you've been so good to me, you've treated me better than any of my exes. I just need some space and some time to work through some things. You're just so amazing in so many ways. I love you. I'm just not sure whether I'm in love with you. This leaves you with the self-doubt. Yet you want to believe they are a good person, so you end up not moving on as you think they care. This method again leaves you with the hope that they'll return. You can fall into their ways, you can give them space to work things through, and at the same time they'll go and work on trying to find someone new which they can exploit. And as we don't know about this, it makes it easier for the narcissist to return for the hoover if they can't or it doesn't work out with the new person. 4, they may tell you it's over with an abundant amount of insults, using every single weakness and insecurity to pull you down, to hurt you, to upset you, to goad you into a reaction, to bait you. Mainly if you're sticking to your boundaries, as they really don't like the word no. They want to break that boundary down, or they feel like you've criticised them in some way. Usually things like, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're no good, you're lazy, you're stupid, you can't. And these are things that the narcissist will be telling you, often followed with things like, after everything I do for you, you do nothing for me. Do you not remember when I did this? None of which is actually fully true, especially the insults, the put downs. They are not true. It's just to make you feel upset, angry, hurt, confused, either react to their baiting so they can blame you, call you crazy and feel better within themselves, so they can feel superior, so they can feel dominant and in charge. And they are arrogant enough to believe that they can hurt somebody and get away with it. And because they've done it in the past, that is their belief. When they leave and you start doing well for yourself, because they're no longer bringing you down, because you're starting to have that clarity, because you have time for yourself, because you are working on you, because you are putting yourself first, they then have the audacity to think it's because of them. You've changed for them, and they swoop back in for the hoover. If you're not careful, as they've undermined your confidence, when they reappear with all the charm they had in the beginning, we can start to question ourselves. 5, the silent treatment, the disappearing act. Silent treatments that narcissists seem to do to most people in and out of the relationship. It's possibly one of their favourites. Don't know for sure, I've never asked one, but just the silent treatments seem to be a manipulation method that most narcissistic people like. 1 minute they are there, the next puff, they have gone, vanished like vampires when the sun comes up. And they do this for lots of reasons. You're in a relationship 1 minute and the next you don't know where they went. You might not have been going through any major difficulties as you have in the past, yet still they've just disappeared, they've just gone. You might have sent them countless messages and called them loads. You might be fearful for what's happened to them. You might get in touch with friends and family because you're worried sick about them, yet you just cannot get hold of them. And this causes that panic, this causes that fear not only that something has happened to them, but fear of abandonment within ourselves. And it's very difficult, especially if things have been running smooth-ish. We end up worried sick about them, and because we cannot get hold of them, it pulls on our pain. And then we can learn from one of their flying monkeys that they've just been spotted with someone else. It's not because they couldn't tell you in person, it's because they don't care. Finding this out is cruel, and it can naturally make you feel anger, annoyed, hurt, confused, resentment, and many more, reacting in similar ways to the first discard. You were never the problem. You are worthy. They are so insecure on the inside. They have to bring others down to raise themselves up. They fear abandonment. They have to find others to leech off. You cannot help them. They have a disorder, the narcissist personality disorder. You did not cause it. You cannot change it, and you cannot control it. You can, however, help you. After the end, if you start to make changes for yourself, they'll believe it's for them, to make them feel superior, to make them feel special, to make them feel powerful. And most will often swoop in for the hoover. If they have discarded you, it is devastating. It can be devastating. It is painful. Learning about the disorder helps give you the closure and the answers to your whys, but also working on you and creating a new happy life for you at the same time. You can and you will recover from this. So a few quick steps to help recovery. 1, grieve the loss. Cry, set a time limit, 1 day, 2 days, a week. You are allowed to feel the pain. You are allowed to move through that pain. You are allowed to grieve the loss. 2, write out the false reality the narcissist sold you and write in the actual reality to give yourself the closure. They'll never give you closure, and they'll only ever blame shift it onto you anyway, making you feel worse. You have to give yourself that closure. 3, remember the bad they put you through. 4, focus on the positives of why life will be better without them. Make it a must in your mind, why you must move on without them, why your life will be so much better without them, to give you the willpower to move on. 5, work on your anxiety triggers. These kinds of relationship can leave us with so many anxieties. Recognizing those triggers can help, and then finding ways to handle those triggers. I'll add the anxiety and trauma bonding course into the description. 6, creating new routines for you. 7, any doubt in your mind, tell the story as if it happened to someone you really care about. What advice would you give that person? 8, work on your mindset, reprogramming your subconscious to think for you, to work for you. It was not your fault. You are lovable. You are worthy. You deserve better. 9, working on filling your human needs up in other more positive, constructive ways. Things like joining support groups helps you by helping others learn about the experience. This fills your human needs for contribution, growth, connection to other people. It helps you also understand different perceptions, different points of view from other people. 10, create new routines to fill your need for certainty, so that you've got some level of certainty in your life, that you know what's happening, because you can be going through so much uncertainty. It can be a very confusing place to be. 11, try new activities and hobbies, or go back to old activities and hobbies and see if you still enjoy them. 12, learn your standards, your belief system and your boundaries. 13, make sure you rest and take care of your needs. 14, finding your sense of humour will help you through whatever that sense of humour is to you. I shall add in the description the online courses. I'll add the video as to why narcissistic people hurt you, and the video that explains what actually happens to you within a narcissistic relationship, and the video that explains about it all being an illusion. Thank you very much for listening. If you are new to the channel and you can relate to the information and you find it helpful, please do subscribe. I hope everyone has an amazing day. Bye.